Should I seek medical attention if I experience bleeding 10 days after a period?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's video where we'll be discussing an important question. Should I seek medical attention if I experience bleeding 10 days after a period? It's essential to address concerns like this when it comes to your health, so let's dive right into it.
Understanding normal menstrual cycles.
To better understand whether you should seek medical attention for bleeding 10 days after your period, it's crucial to grasp the basics of a normal menstrual cycle. A typical menstrual cycle lasts around 28 days, although it can vary from person to person. During this cycle, the lining of the uterus thickens in preparation for pregnancy. If fertilization doesn't occur, the uterus sheds its lining, resulting in menstruation.
Normal versus abnormal bleeding.
Now, let's distinguish between normal and abnormal bleeding. Normal menstrual bleeding typically lasts between 3 to 7 days, with the heaviest flow occurring during the first few days. It's common to experience a light flow or spotting towards the end of your period. On the other hand, abnormal bleeding refers to any bleeding that deviates from your usual menstrual pattern. This includes bleeding that occurs outside of your regular cycle, prolonged bleeding, heavy bleeding, or bleeding after menopause.
Potential causes of bleeding 10 days after a period.
If you're experiencing bleeding 10 days after your period, it may have various underlying causes. One possible cause could be hormonal fluctuations during your menstrual cycle. Mid-cycle bleeding, known as ovulation bleeding, can occur when the egg is released from the ovary. This is typically light and lasts for a shorter duration. Another potential cause could be a hormonal imbalance, which can disrupt your regular menstrual cycle and lead to irregular bleeding. Conditions like polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, or thyroid disorders can contribute to hormonal imbalances.
When to seek medical attention.
While there can be harmless explanations for bleeding 10 days after your period, it's important to be cautious and consider seeking medical attention in certain situations. If you experience any of the following, it's advisable to consult a healthcare professional. 1. Excessive bleeding. If the bleeding is unusually heavy and requires frequent changing of sanitary products. 2. Prolonged bleeding. If the bleeding lasts longer than 7 to 10 days. 3. Severe pain. If you experience intense abdominal pain or discomfort along with the bleeding. 4. Consistently irregular cycles. If you notice frequent irregularities in your menstrual cycle or the bleeding becomes a recurring issue. 5. Bleeding after menopause. If you have gone through menopause and suddenly experience bleeding. These symptoms may indicate an underlying health condition that requires medical attention to receive appropriate diagnosis and treatment.
Consulting a healthcare professional.
When you decide to seek medical attention, it's best to schedule an appointment with your primary care physician or a gynecologist. They will be able to assess your symptoms, review your medical history, and conduct any necessary tests or examinations to determine the cause of the abnormal bleeding. Remember, it's always better to err on the side of caution when it comes to your health. Seeking professional medical advice will provide you with the reassurance and guidance needed to address any potential issues. Thank you for watching today's video on whether you should seek medical attention if you experience bleeding 10 days after a period. While it's not uncommon to have minor irregularities in your menstrual cycle,